look at life for the southern people like a small town, nothing's real. Mama's still doing wrong, don't tell the preacher. Nothing really changes except the weather. If you can't say something nice, you don't say nothing at all. Don't want you up in my life, 'cause you talk too much. I could leave it all, I'm feeling low. Find myself on a brand new road. If you can't say something nice, you don't say nothing at all. Don't want you up in my life, 'cause you talk too much, y'all. Gotta go to church on Sunday, get a dose of the Southern truth. Grandma's house is just down the way, and she's missing you.
Oh, yeah. Well, welcome back. Sorry for a little bit of delay setting up next things. And when you're up back to back like that, Miss Jen, you enjoy handing out the candy. We'll see you later tonight. Thanks for checking in. Well, this is the Southern Fried. I call it a couple things: Southern Fried Soundstage, Southern Fried Music Talk, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're just having fun. And last week we started talking about and by the way, Miss Jen, I'll be freezing in the morning because we got to see what the weather's like. We may have to go inside the coffee shop for our Saturday morning AM show there in the little hamlet of Ringo, Georgia. We've been sitting on the sidewalk. I'm game as long as it's not, 22. I think we'll be okay. But we like meet people. We drink coffee. But anyway, last week we started talking about the rock band Tesla. This is a show we're going to talk about bands. Next up is Def Leppard. These two are linked together very significantly. And that's why I booked them back to back. And two of my favorite bands, by the way. There were some things that we didn't really get to with Tesla last week. And just by way of talking about it, their first several albums were just a quick review, but their first several albums were, obviously very successful, big productions out of Sacramento, California. And they just killed it. Got on early tours, especially with Def Leppard, which is where I saw them and became a fairly instantaneous fan. It took me the first show. I didn't know who they were. I was a little put off by Jeff Keith at the time because he's really just an old country guy, but that's a farming area and stuff. But his look on stage for that first tour, I don't know. It gave me the wrong impression. I love the band, but I wasn't sure about him. But I warmed up to his singing and him very quickly, and he never wore that outfit again, and I'm so glad. It just It just wasn't good. But you know what? Maybe that's all he could afford. But he had this big old white shirt unbuttoned that hung way down with blue jeans and cowboy boots, and it just didn't. It just didn't work for me. I was like, who is this guy? But boy, they laid it down. We talked about Mechanical Resonance and the Great Radio Controversy, Psychotic Supper. We got up to, and I hate the title of the album, Bust a Nut. I hate that. Never liked that. Had some good selections on there. Still with Geffen at this point, but then, the band, really fell apart. Tommy left, come back. And then they went into a run where they had Into the Now, Forevermore, Simplicity. And I'll talk about two albums tonight that I didn't mention, and I kind of breezed through those three there, but I want to talk about a later one, and then I want to go back and really talk about the 1990 release of Five Man Acoustical Jam. So if you're familiar with Tesla, 5-member group, 2 guitar players, Tommy has not been with them for many years, although they remain on a friendly basis. Dave Rude is the second guitar player to Frank there in the band, and they're just really bring the guitars. It's a great sound. Their drummer has also changed. Another drummer, I think he's still listed with them, but he's kind of retired. I mean, he likes to do drum schools, and it's a toll it just takes on you. So, but the rest are original. Brian Wheat are there. But this was a great album, and I don't know where it kind of rests in some of the early albums when you're talking about when you're talking about it got very popular to do the acoustic set, and I don't know that they were the first ones to do that, but they were one of the very first. This album killed it, and they made a lot of money off of it, and it made a lot of people want to do that. And now a lot of bands do, and have for decades now. They'll have a little acoustic set where they'll rock it. Then they'll bring the chairs. Even in a big arena, they'll come to the front, they'll sit, and they'll grab the plugged acoustics, and the drummer twiddles his thumbs or shakes something or something. Sometimes they'll have a little small kit, and they'll go through some jams with a little bass, and and I like it. But this was a great album, and even though it helped to really just kick them forward really strong, and it had a lot of great great songs on the track list, and but honestly, their music was great, but what really propelled it, we all remember, was that they redid Signs Everywhere, Sign, and from Emerson, and that was played relentlessly on MTV. The track listing is great. As far as some of these are really rockers that they scaled down and they did the acoustic set with. Coming at You Live kicked it off. And then Truckin', they put Truckin' on the end of that. Remember that from the Grateful Dead? Then Heaven's Trail, No Way Out, another huge hit, The Way It Is. Yes, We Can Work It Out. They did little covers here. Did the Lennon McCartney song, We Can Work It Out. Killed it on that. I thought they did a great job. Then Signs, which was played and is still played on rock radios, your classic rock and everything. It is still well received and played. Getting Better, Before My Eyes, which was always one of my favorite songs, and it never got the due that it deserves. A very long song. I love it. It's kind of a haunting song to me, written by Frank Hannon, Keith Lucetta, and Skio. Paradise, another great song. Lodi, from Fogerty, Creedence Clearwater. Modern Day Cowboy, they had really scaled out on that one. What a rocker. But they did Mother's Little Helper from the Rolling Stones. Love Song, you got to have Love Song in anything like this. That's a perfect song for this because it starts out acoustically. Skio had Tommy's Down Home, and then Down Full Boogie, Keith, Skio. So they ended up being 67 minutes. They had a couple of throw-ins there you never heard on the radio, really. But the rest of these were great. And again, that show, that video was purchased. I mean, a lot of people got that. The album is a great live album. The 5 Man Acoustical Jam, I thought was a great title. That album cover, if you want to call it that, really has a great look. I'll show you here. It's not blowing up very much, but you can see that album cover, and I just love the look of that. And I bought that. Obviously, I bought it. Absolutely, I bought it. And they were riding the high wave, absolutely riding the high wave through all this. And so that's 1990. Like again, I saw them in '87 with Leopard. The Mechanical Resonance came out. I think it was recorded in '86. I don't remember when we looked at it, I don't remember the day, if it was late '86, early '87. But anyway, I saw them 2 or 3 times with Leopard on that tour, because I saw Leopard 4 times on that tour. That was a return of Leopard. We'll get to that probably starting next week. That was the return of Leopard with all the tragedies and everything that happened. But they had a lot of bands they featured on all their tours, including Queen's Rock was another band that I got introduced to. I wasn't familiar with Queen's Rock. They had and a couple more, but they've always been friends. They remain friends, and it's just they don't step on each other. There's no ego, and I would be a bit surprised to see them join up again at some point. It's a good matchup. Music wise, and they all have, I mean, they're all fans. I mean, like I said, the first tour I seen with them, Frank Cannon's walking around with a Def Leppard sweatshirt on. I mean, and I was at the show in Knoxville, Tennessee at Thompson Bowling. But it was just a great album, and I really liked that. I don't like all live albums. Some live albums are not good to me, but this one being the acoustic, it offered some different things, new spins. And it was kind of the first, like I said, that was just not something that was being done. But boy, have they done it since then. I mean, the whole MTV Unplugged series, all that stuff, you could go into all the different music channels. Everybody was doing something like that. And I think they had a big hand in it. It was very successful for them. It was platinum in the U.S., gold in Canada. Like I said, it was a huge success. Reached number 12 in the U.S. That was his highest charting position. Now, I want to come back, and I don't have it in here. I don't think I have it. They went to London, before I go back and talk about this other album. They went to London in 2020, and they recorded the 5-Man London Jam at Abbey Road. And that's a good one, too. I like that. And, of course, the history there, Abbey Road, and they talked about it a lot. I bought that album. I bought it. I don't remember if I've downloaded. I bought it digitally, or let's see. I try to buy from the band. I try to support them, and some of these things don't pay off as much. I try to help them when I can. These bands, because that's what that's how they make their money. And plus, I like to have the different kind of copies. But I did buy the album, and I hadn't bought an album in a long time, and I've never unwrapped that album, and I never will. It's kind of just going to be put up on the wall. But great picture there, and I like it. Just kind of brought it full circle again, and they kind of did the same thing. They not exactly nothing like it. Of course, no crowd. It's just Abbey Road, and they're singing. And my understanding is they went there and just killed it. I mean, you only have so much time. I mean, these things are booked way in advance. It's expensive. You got to get in there. They don't play around. They're not going to put up with your pity parties, your tempers, whatever. They'll boot you. They don't care who you are. They command that kind of respect at Abbey Road, and bands go in there. It's like a shrine to them. And the fact they get to record there, and Leopard's done it too, I think, because I think they did some of their, which some people hated. Some of the, I think mixing might have been done on their orchestra type album. I don't know. Some people don't like that stuff. I thought there was some neat selections there. I don't say I like everything, but I thought there was some neat selections in that for Leopard. But we'll get that at another time. But I did love this, and I thought it did them well at the time. And like I said, they were riding the high wave. I mean, the high wave on this. Now, after, Into the Now, Forevermore, Simplicity, and they had Reel to Reel, which is a whole nother one. We may come back later time and talk about that. The last full album they did was Shock. and I was excited about it. And it is a big album. It has a lot of songs on it. It's uh, some people hated it. It's not real long, and some of the songs are not long, but 44 minutes. What's unique about it is they recorded it on tour with Leopard with Phil Collin as producer. Now that ticked a lot of people off because they felt like he used on some of the songs he used some tools, and again they were recording it in all backstage on the tour, and that was different for them. It allowed them to get an album out on the cheap and get it. But it's a great album. I like the album. But Young Shock, I mean that intro, the drum track, and all that, not good. Um, the album cover's okay. I mean, I think I liked it because I liked the tie-in. Uh, some people didn't like it; thought it looked a little cheesy. We'll show you that, but there it is. But I thought it was okay. It wasn't great. It did look a little bit like you didn't put a lot of graphics in it, but it still kind of holds true to that tradition of Tesla. But is it among their best? No, obviously not. It was released March 8th, 2019, and Shock was the single that was released to begin with, and that song has a lot of kick in it. And there are some good rockers on here that I really liked. And Phil Collins showed up in one of the videos they did, and I don't remember which song that was for, but anyway, um, in fact, Phil Collins gets songwriting credit on one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Well, everything that's on here, he does it as well as Rude, Wheat, Hannon, and Jeff Keith, obviously, and I think that's it. So they all they were the writers of the album. Track listing is kicked off with "You Won't Take Me Alive." The good song, I really like that song. Tastes Like, it's a pretty good song. Wasn't my favorite, but I liked it. We Can Rule the World, decent, good song. Shock, I like. Didn't like the intro myself. I thought it didn't fit Tesla, and that's where people got mad. It sounded very studio-ish. Colin had obviously worked with Mutt and Bells and Whistles and stuff, and that worked for them. And I love their stuff, but maybe it wasn't for them. And they heard it from the fans. They really did. And they'd still enjoy but they're not even going to do albums anymore. They release singles. Maybe will they ever? They're recording some now. Who knows? Maybe they will, but they won't ever do it like this again. Love is a Fire. Remember that California Summer Song? I really like that one. Forever Loving You, another good song. Tied to the Tracks. That was one of my favorites of everything on there, along with Shock. Afterlife, I Want Everything, and Comfort Zone. Clock's in at 44:27, and I mean it was played a lot. I bought the CD on this one, and I was at the time I was doing patrol on security as a second job, so I had to drive through the night, 12 hours. So they had a CD player. I bought it at that time, and it got played a lot. And it's a good album. Could they have done better? And probably would it have? They needed some of that gritty they had. A little too clean for the Tesla crowd. I get it because that's what Leopard does. They do every once in a while they'll scuff up a song, as I will say it that way. But it's a lot of studio. Very, they record all their stuff now through bots and stuff and send them together, engineer, and that's the way they do it. It's the way they've done their last album, and they're doing the new album this way as well for Leopard. But it doesn't really work for Tesla. And but again, they got a nice album out there. They toured on it, made some money. I'm sure they're happy. But the stuff they've recorded after this, Cold Blue Steel, I think was one of them. I don't remember the other song. Somebody remembers, I can throw it in the chat. Really liked that stuff, and it got back to what Tesla is. And even at that age they are, they're still bringing it. I mean, they tour all the time. That's a working band, and they have had a long career, and they fought through. I mean, they had to make it like all the others. They made it through grunge and everything else when the record companies pulled away from them, and said, we don't want you no more. And they had to make adjustments as well, but they have survived and they've done good. And again, it did. I said it last week. I like Dave Root a lot. He's a shredder. He fits in the band very nicely. He was a fan before he came in, so it's a nice dream come true for him, and he's been able to be there a long time. He does a fine job, and I like watching his shredding videos. He gets all these videos, and they have like a little, I don't know, School of the Shredders or whatever. But he does a lot of that. And then Frank's always off doing something, producing people, making albums, even and they have that southern rock twinge to them. So Frank's a Horseman, and he likes that kind of thing, and it just all the influences all kind of fit. But I miss Tommy, and I know they don't miss Tommy's antics, but he just brought, I don't know, it was a toughness, a grittiness that was kind of in that background. He wasn't always out on lead, but he looked great on stage, and he played. I don't know, it brought a hardness there that I think they miss, a little heaviness that Dave Root is just not. He's a fine player, he's a fine shredder, nothing against him, but I think that for me, I'll always miss Tommy, and that's I miss Steve Clark, but he can't come back. I mean, he's dead, And I like Vivian Campbell a lot. I liked him before he come in the band, and no, I don't expect him to be playing Dio songs and Leopard. He does that on the side with Last in Line, and I'm glad he does. And if he wants to go off and play like that, it's great. I will say this about that and about these replacement players, because I've watched a lot of videos with Rude, and again, he come in and he knows his role. We'll say it that way. Vivian came into Leopard, he knew his role. But I saw this cut the other day where he talked about coming in the band 33 years ago now. It's crazy. And he did a club show right before, but they did the Freddie Mercury tribute. And, he'd been dumped from Dio because he was about wanting more money and all that. And, he got let go. Got to pay the bills. House payments are due. And he's not not making money. So not much, not enough. So he got the opportunity to join Leopard, and he did. And that's the show. He's meeting Elton John, and he named all these players. He said, I could get used to this. And some people look at Vivian like he's been sent to, a punishment island, and he's unhappy. Bullcrap. The guy's extremely happy. He's on stage almost every night, plays before thousands all over the world. And he still gets to go off and do his, ripping and shredding on the Dio stuff with Last in Line. He's extremely happy. And he's battled cancer, and the band has stuck by him, and they're a brotherhood. And no, he's not going anywhere. So that's, in fact, when he had to step down for a show because of the cancer on the NFL spot that they filled, and he couldn't play that, he was ticked off. He said, that's my spot. He didn't like the fact. He understood why they had to do it, and they explained it to him. We got a commitment here, and he couldn't make it. But I like that. I like a person that says, that's mine. He did nothing against the guy that helped him. He's a good friend of the band. He's helped him before, and he'll help him again. But he's like, no, he's a worker. Leopard was from Sheffield, the steel town, gritty, dark. Well, so was Vivian, and they get that. That's that mentality. And I'm tying this back because Tesla it's a working band. They don't lay about. They stay busy. If they're not busy with their own stuff, they're producing other people, or they're doing side projects. Even when they broke up as a band, they stayed very busy and active. Of course, they're trying to make a living. I get it, but no matter how much money they have, they're always going to continue to play until they can't do it no more. That's who they are. It's in their DNA to play like that. They grew up with blue collar, work ethic. I mean, they moved out of Sacramento because of crime, but they're not living in gated estates and stuff. These are just normal Americans who love to play rock and roll, and they love the fact to live in a country where it affords them the opportunity to do that. And I like this band. I've always liked them. The only thing I've never heard that I didn't like that Brian Wheat kind of trashed the name Tesla. He wasn't really for that. I thought it was a great tie-in. He's okay with it, but he said, I never liked it. I hated that because I thought, man, I've always liked that. They, going back to Nikola Tesla, it was a great move by them to do that, I thought. And all the tie-in they've done over the years with that. So it's entrenched. It's just unfortunate some guy, come along and form Tesla. And now you say Tesla, people think you're talking about the cyber trucks and everything else. I'm always talking about the band, or at least 99% of the time, I'm talking about the band. But you know, they have again been together a long time, and they continue to tour. They come up in my area. They like to go up the Smokies. There's a music festival up there, and they go be a part of that. And I'd love to go up there and see them. That's a great setting up there to see them. Um, but this again, even here's another person that stated the song "Shock" on the album called "Shock" opens with this, you know, insistent retro '80s sounding backbeat supplied by the drummer and bassist. But anyway, he's not. He's I don't know. He wasn't a fan of it. I'm not either. Although it's okay. It's kind of a different way to start an album, and the beat on that. If you've never heard that, go listen to Shock and just pull that up. So the last full album they've done, and again they have recorded some songs they haven't released yet. I think they might do an EP. They may have enough for a full album, and maybe they'll get back to it. But I heard them say they weren't going to release albums, just songs. In today's market, just release a song and get it out there. And so I see them probably more doing that. But a great career by these guys. You know, they are the epitome of a rock and roll band. And you know, I always thought that, you know, maybe his voice might not hold up when he was, because you know, he it was always a little had that little bit of you know, it's not clean. He's never had a clean voice. A good singer and powerful, but it had you get older. His has changed a little bit, a little lower on lower register is good for him. Like a lot of you kind of tune down a half step. He can't get quite up to some of those up, but their music never really went crazy like that either, which was smart, you know. So there's a few things I've noticed that he's you know, it's a little change there. He can't quite belt it out, but at his age, I certainly don't fault him whatsoever. I mean, that's I don't I don't blame him a bit for you know, changing a little bit, and all singers have, I should say. And he's just a fine singer. And when he started out, he had nothing. I mean, they had to work with him. I mean, but they could tell he had talent. And some of his like love song, and I mean, he just rips it on there. He just sometimes have that little bit of a when he's talking, he has this little high pitched thing his voice does. He sounds funny to me sometimes, but that I'm not saying that as any kind of put down. I really like Jeff Keith, and he does a fine job as a singer. And but you know, they're on the Keeping It Real tour, and 25 and 26 they're going to do the Still Keeping It Real for 2026. I mean, if something's working, it's working. November 7th they will be in Cancun. Now it's getting a little travel outside the country. And then they're back in Nevada by January 15th. I'll take a little break. 2 shows there in Nevada. And then they move over to Pennsylvania, a little closer to me. They're going to spend some dates in New Jersey at the Hard Rock there. Back to Casino in Connecticut on January 30th. Going to New York, another casino. That's become a popular thing for a lot of bands. They're going to be in Pompano Beach, Florida on March 6th. I'm sure they'll fill in some other dates here. And Clearwater, Florida, making a little Florida run, St. Augustine. And that's all they've got listed for now. But that's not even in the spring. Well, it just begins getting closer to spring, and the summer will be a big push for them. So, like I said, they keep going. There's several shows here, quite a few, and they'll keep on rocking it and get it out there. But yeah, I was just seeing if there was anything to announce here that. And again, all the guys, most of them are very involved with side projects. And what I really like about Frank Hannon is he helps a lot of bands. Red Voodoo is one. There's some others off the top of my head I can't think of them right now. he's helped a lot of those folks get exposure. He's helped produce. He's kind of mentor, paying back, and that's another thing that I think that I don't say they didn't have it already, but where Leopard has always tried to help bands, give them a leg up, and they want to do that. They've done that. I think Tesla's done that too, and I think Frank shows that in what he's done in trying to help these young artists get by. I mean, when you couldn't tour, they did a lot of it, over the internet. And I remember that's where I was introduced to Red Voodoo at a show that Frank organized, and there were three artists, I think. Britt Lightning from Vixen was there that night. She played on a song with Red Voodoo, a Van Halen rocker, and or a Sammy Hagar rocker, or both. They all played it. Britt Lightning was there, and oh my goodness, I can't think of that other player. He's really good. I can see his face. I can't think of his name, but that was a good show. It was one of those you paid $5 or something, and it was to help the artist and in California. And he he's been he flubbed. I said last week he flubbed Love Song, the beginning of it on the acoustic. He said 30 years I played that song, never flubbed it, and then I did. I think he was just probably nervous, wanting to do good for the guys. But you can see that and I wish Frank would get his podcast back. I mean, I really enjoyed that show, but he's just busy. It was supposed to be From the Road anyway, but I don't think he's done it in 2 years, 2 or 3 years now. I don't know if he'll get back to it or not, but I kind of think he'll come back to it. He had some interesting shows, and I used to run around listening to them before I was podcasting. That's one of the shows I listened to was his. It seemed like that came on Saturday nights or something like that. It was always pre-recorded because he was on the road, but he got interviews with all these people they were touring with. So those guys have great guests because they're with them right there. Best podcast for that is the cruises. You get all them bands on a cruise and you're able to interview all those people. They're all ready, to talk, and then fans alike. So you got no shortage of material, and then you can, play some of the video, the music or whatever, and get, permission to show that as well. So those that do the podcast there, they do very well. But catch Tesla if you catch them. Buy their albums if you don't know Tesla. Give them a look-see, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. Outside of the one album title, Bust a Nut, didn't care for that, and maybe that intro to Shock. I've not had much to really say that I've never really liked. I've liked everything they've done. They're straight down the line, kind of a bluesy, southern rockish kind of band. And when they really crank it up, they crank it up. Their ballads are good, power ballads. Really, that's really what most of them are. And like I said last week, I will always be a fan of Changes because of changes that happened in my life around the time that I was really listening to that album because of the murder of my best friend. And that is still I cannot listen to that song without tears in my eyes. It's always, but it goes into a rock mode. That is an amazing song, and it's one of my favorites by Tesla. But I'm a fan of the big hits. I mean, I like all the ones, and then some of the ones you don't ever hear. I think they just do a great job. I think they're the kind of band that can tackle about any song and pull it off, and they've done that. They've played some, recorded some music it's not easy, but they're able to pull it off. They're extremely talented. Frank Hannon he's a virtuoso on the guitar in his way. I love to watch him play. He's just straight on. I love his solos, and I love Coming at You Live because they have the dueling solos that are going back and forth in that song, and that song has a nice build to it, and that's always one of my top 3 songs is Coming at You Live. I like to hear the live version, so you hear all the the little back feeds and everything that you hear with the live feed with the guitars. That's my favorite. But the recorded studio version is very nice as well. Modern Day Cowboy is I'm a big fan of that. Of course, getting better. But I'm a big fan of Hang Tough. That's one of my, off the second album, that's one of my Edison's Medicine off the third. Really love that one. Love Song will always be in the top 5. Always. I will never turn that song off if it comes on the radio. Or just great song. It's an iconic song, and it came along at a perfect time for them, the MTV era. It was a great song. That video was great. Paradise. How could you not like that? I mean, they have this great thing that they do through most of their songs. They change tempos quite a bit, fast to slow and intermediate, and then they just throw the hammer down. That's a style of theirs. I like the way they do that, and through most of their music, that's the way they play it. And some bands don't do that. They're very straight on. They just, but Tesla's always been like that. And that's just their MO. I love the band, love the music. And, thanks for tuning in. I was a little shorter because we had the other show. Next week, we're going to venture to Def Leppard, the boys from Sheffield. And I became aware of Def Leppard around the age of 14, 15, I think it was, maybe a little earlier than that. But anyway, I have a history with them. I've saw them a number of times, 15 in all, and around different arenas, amphitheaters, big arenas. And I've always liked them. It's an amazing story, and of overcoming. And, I know a lot of people criticize for the change of music that they did. They want them to always stay in that ACD-ish kind of style that some of their music was early on. They never, ever, ever were going to do that. And I've told people, you're wasting your breath. They love to experiment. They wanted to be bombastic. I mean, big like a Queen. Some of their heroes. I mean, the Stones. They loved AC/DC. They have a lot of influences, especially Mott the Hoople for Joe. And many, many English bands. And but they looked at America. They even praised America. Hello, America. I mean, how much more could you praise America early on in their first album, On Through the Night? And we're going to take a deep dive look at that album next week, because it was a really good intro album. And it does not get the credit it deserves. Nowadays, a lot of people go back and look at it and go, that's pretty dang good for this band. Of course, they started the EP, went there, then the Great High and Dry, Pyromania, and then the culmination. They did some other stuff since, but Hysteria. And I know it changed every time, and they got more slicker and whatever, but that album is killer. It's just loaded with hits. I was listening to selections off Pyromania today, or was it? Yeah, it was yesterday, and those selections are incredible, absolutely incredible. Just hit after hit after hit. It's what made them millionaires. And of course, the sad, sad death of Steve Clark and other tragedies, Rick Allen. We're going to look at that. It's going to take me a little time to get through that. So I hope you're a fan. If not, it's okay. But we'll be talking about different bands as we go, from the whoever to whoever, the Led Zeppelins to the AC/DCs and back around, and we'll talk about music. Love to have you join in, give your memories of shows. Tell me about what shows you've been to, what your favorite songs are. I'm giving you a heads up. Next week's Def Leppard, and you can come with your Def Leppard talk. I hope to have, and they probably think I forgot about them. I've reached out to Def Leppard fan club, one of them. I've got their emails. I have a couple that said they would love to come on. I'm going to reach out and let them know, hey, this is the time and date, and it'll be the first of several shows, and we'll get some other fans' input, and that's what I want too. It's meant to be a talk show, not just me talking. So if you'd like to come on about one of the bands we're going to cover, including Def Leppard, Southern Fried Podcast at yahoo.com, we'll pull you up and we'll talk. We're not rushing it. We want to have fun with it. I'm 60 years old. I've loved music my whole life, all kinds of music. I love gospel because I'm a Christian. And probably some of my Christian friends don't understand my liking, but I like country. I like Southern rock. I like bluegrass. I like a lot of different kinds of music, and I stay away from things that they're ugly and nasty and all that. And some would say, well, all of it is, but even some Christian music has went down wrong roads. So it's all in how you like it. And I'm not a legalist, and my mom instilled in me a great love for music. Shout out to my mom. My dad liked music, but more country and some gospel. Wasn't a big fan of anything else. My mom loved it all, from Motown to rock and roll to everything in between. And she influenced me. She was my influence. I listened to the radio, and that influenced, but we listened to a lot of music together. In fact, my mom introduced me to Merle Haggard, Elvis, Motown. I mean, we watched those shows on Saturday, all of them, and she watched every music show that ever came on. She loved musicals. I was introduced to musicals through her, and she gave all of us a great love of music. My sisters love music as well. We have different tastes, some the same, a lot different, but we all have a love of music. And my mom gave us a lot of that because she loved to dance when she was young. That was, she was a teenager in the 50s, all that sock hops and everything else. And mom's health took a turn, and there was a time where she couldn't get up and do that anymore, but she danced where she was. And love you, Mom. I hope you're able to hear me and look down. I know you enjoy hearing me talk about it. And by the way, I'll tell next week a very touching story. If I get to it, it might be the week after, that she did for me concerning the death of Steve Clark. And that's things that moms do. And we'll try to do that without tearing the eye. But my mom was great, is great. And we'll see you next time. Don't forget, 8 o'clock, we're going to be this book release right here for the Three Ravens Publishing, threeravenspublishing.com. This came from the Trailer Park series, book number 5, I believe that is. And we're going to have some of the authors on. I've got to get off here and get busy getting ready for it. Going to get some of the book covers on some cards and get them ready. So we'll go out with some music, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by. If you just listened, or whatever you did, or you tuned in for a second or two and tuned out, we still appreciate you stopping by. Let me find the song that I want to go out with. Nothing is ever where you want it. There it is. I think this is it. See you next time. See you at 8.